Hey guys, Loco here. For you today, I have Dignitas versus TSM. I thought this was a very exciting game. Both teams actually showed good play, but TSM going with what I like to call it, the KISS strategy. It stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. It's basically you play teamfight comps that scale well and that also has strong engage. It makes the comp very easy to execute, and even if you mess up in the mid game, you scale well into the late game and you can just start teamfights and win that way. You do lose to teams that have champion oceans and can counter you in every lane and they can snowball you on you since like early game, or teams that can play 1-3-1 properly and that don't really get engaged on easily. But it is North America, it is LCS, and a lot of teams have actually won the whole region playing this way. So without further ado, let's get to the draft. So for TSM's draft, they started off with Set first pick. I don't think Set is the greatest first pick in the world, but with Perks playing Set mid in LEC and also Set top being played pretty much everywhere, and now Dardog playing Set jungle, pro players have shown Set can be flexed in all three lanes. So when most of the OPs are gone and there isn't a champion that you really want for your team, I think Set is a fine first pick. And for the solo lanes, this is what I actually really love from TSM, them going with very comfortable champions for both Bjergsen and Broken Blade. Broken Blade, a very well-known Irelia player. He's played this champion so many times. And Bjergsen, he has how many games on Syndra? I think TSM solo laners are going to be incredibly comfortable playing these champions. Also, the bot lane has a very easy duo to play out. It's an aggressive bot lane duo that does well in team fights, and that can also be very independent. Miss Fortune is an incredibly hard champion to dive due to her ultimate clearing out the wave instantly. I mean, I love the draft. It's very simple. It's very easy to execute. The scaling on it isn't the greatest, but it's not that big of a problem. Like, their mid game is going to be strong, and it's not like their late game is garbage. It's just going to be weaker than some of the hyper carry oriented drafts. Now, Dignitas, on the other hand, I don't like their draft as much. So they lead with an early Elise pick. Now, Elise isn't a bad jungler at all. She's actually very well fitting for the meta, but you want to be pairing her with strong AD champions. Historically, it's been stuff like Renekton, Zed, Lucian, Kiana, basically any kind of AD solo lane that has a lot of kill potential, and Elise can really help with that because she's a great diver, she's a great ganker. But when you end up pairing up with AP Kennen and a Vel'Koz, it is not the greatest, so I really don't like this Elise pick. And also, the other thing about Dignitas' draft is they have 4 ranged champions, and they aren't going to have a very strong split pusher because the Kennen is going to be end up building AP. So this is a teamfight draft that requires them to kite a lot. I do like the Vel'Koz pick into the Syndra. That is definitely a Froggen favorite, and he is exceptional at using terrain, and I'll highlight the parts in the game where he did a really good job of using terrain to block out rest of TSM while he was able to get his poke. So I think at the end of the day, Dignitas ended up with a draft that is much harder to execute than TSM, that doesn't necessarily scale better, and also that has a pick in the jungle which just gets really demolished with rest of the comp. It doesn't really fit in well. She doesn't have a true role in the early game. It's just weird overall. So yeah, that's the draft. TSM, strong teamfight comp. They want to get a lot of engages on Dignitas. They want to be looking for flanks. They want to be looking for multiple angles. They want to be looking for flash engages on targets without flash. Dignitas, on the other hand, they want to be kiting a lot. They want to make sure no one's coming in through the back door. They want a more honest fight with Braum up front and the 4 range carries in the back, and TSM just coming in from a singular angle. So now let's get to the game. So Bjerg has blue here, and he's going to be able to get a really nice chunk on Froggen. Going to be able to push out afterwards too. This is going to give him prio. He doesn't have to worry about being low on mana. He has double Doran Ring, and as I said, he also has blue buff. Broken Blade starting Herald early for the team. Okay, I see you. And looks like TSM got a nice chunk on Johnson there, and Johnson was forced to burn flash. So early Herald doesn't even have to swap due to the priority from top side, priority from mid lane, bot lane just actually staying bot. And now Huni gonna ward and check in. I'm not sure why he's checking in here. Broken Blade immediately jumping on him with Q. Able to walk out, dodges the Elise. And now Dardog going in. Oh, that flash headbang on 2 targets. And Dardog wanted a little bit more of an insect kick on Grig where he's punched out, but it kind of got it at an angle. And Broken Blade got overzealous, went in. Just should have been happy with the flashes and the Herald, but yeah, that's the first play to start the game. So here you have Grig clearing out this pink ward. it is a little greedy on his end, especially with TSM bot lane having prio and Bjergsen also having prio. Barely dodges the stun. Now get out, get out. Grig, you got the ward. There's people coming. I just don't know what he was thinking overstaying here. Leona gonna land the ult and then the E flash. So a lot of people are gonna say, why didn't he just repel the Leona ult? Even if he repels the Leona ult, the moment he comes down, he's gonna die due to the Leona E. He might have had a better shot with the repel on the ult, but yeah. Now, Broken Blade coming in from the side, going to be able to burn Froggen's flash. Very nice on his part. Flash on Vel'Koz, extremely valuable, especially versus champions like Syndra, champions like Zed. And now TSM going to get the free dragon off of the nice roam from bot lane. This is why bot lane priority is so important. Supports are very meaningful nowadays in what they can do across the map. Things they can do with their jungle, things they can do with their mid laner. So yeah, junglers have to be very, very aware and in sync with their support and bot lane and also their mid lane to make sure that they aren't getting engaged on or they're going somewhere where the team won't have prio. And we're going to get Ocean Drake and FlyQuest is going to plant 100 more trees. Now, normally I like to only cover big things in the recap or the recap becomes so long, but I thought this Herald usage was really weird from Dardoch. So he uses his red trinket right afterwards. Maybe he thought he needed to be clearing vision, but teams have optimized Herald usage so much where they're getting the maximum out of it. They're using it when they're taking turret after the 2 plates are gone, so they're using it on the tankiest part of the turret. But this Herald usage was really random. He was using it from a very far distance. He was using it when his team wasn't sieging, and they're just going to get 3 plates, and that's going to be it. And they were even lucky to get those 3 plates, because if they played a little bit more aggressive on Bjerg there, I don't think they even get the plate. The Herald probably doesn't get to charge. I don't even think Bjerg got gold there, so yeah, just a really weird Herald usage. So we're getting to the meat and potatoes of League of Legends, the mid game, the dragon control, the big objective control, playing for turrets. So I think this is where Froggen really shines. Like, he is so incredibly good at Vel'Koz, and one thing he does that other Vel'Kozers definitely don't do as well as him is maintaining that distance and using the terrain well. So I really want you guys to look at how Froggen is going to use terrain. Froggen's going to go all the way around after getting some initial pokes using that big wall right there. So yeah, watch how they start Dragon and watch what they do. They do this every single time whenever Froggen plays Vel'Koz. I saw it all the time on Golden Guardians too. So Froggen's positioning here, and the really big thing that he does is he uses this giant chunk of wall at blue. He's using it so melee champions can't get to him, and also he's using it in a way where the shorter range champions also can't really do damage to him. And long as he has a vision, he's in a position where he can hit the enemy champions, and the enemy champions can't really hit him back, and it's really awkward for them to engage also, because even if one champion engages, the other champions have to jump the wall to close the gap and actually be able to do damage to Froggen. He has the high ground. He's too powerful. He's gonna poke. Huni protecting his flank. Yeah, and then once he's behind that fatty wall, really people just cannot get to him. And then TSM used their engage with Leona ult, and then Froggen just gonna go right back into poking. Dardoch also used ult already, so yeah, I mean, Froggen barely took any damage throughout that whole thing, and TSM has to be so scared about walking into them, not just because of Vel'Koz, because of other champions too, but mainly because of that pesky tentacle monster that just will not hide. Like, they cannot get him to come out of that wall, and they can't engage on him, and he's going to be infinitely poking them down with Ludens. TSM does reply with Herald. This is second Herald. It is much stronger, and now Dignitas deciding not to play for Herald because, well, this is going to be a position where they have to walk into TSM instead and not the other way around. Smart decision all the way from Dig. So remember what I said about Dignitas having 4 range champions and TSM needing to not funnel into them? But they're going to do exactly that here. They're going to funnel into the Braum. He's so happy to be tanking damage as the rest of his team's doing range damage. And even if Broken Blade is getting a decent ult here, Dignitas has no one behind them, so they can always be walking backwards while shooting skill shots, and it's just a really awkward situation for TSM to be in. Now, this situation is a little bit different. Dignitas is doing the classic North American strategy of everyone just group mid instead of tending to the side lanes. So they don't have any kind of control up on top side, and you can see TSM has placed a ward on the right side of mid, so they also have a flank angle there. And yeah, Dig just trying to get priority back by sending multiple people mid. But I think what they needed to do here was slowly deal with the sideways and slowly get control back on their jungle and not just group up as 4 or 5 on mid lane and get flanked from multiple angles. They are going into their jungle, but it started with Bjerg lending his stun on Elise, and now Set able to get a nice insect ult on Froggen, and Broken Blade coming in from the angle. While Huni does get a good flank on Kabe, it's going to be pretty meaningless. He's forced to trade flashes with Kabe just to get this kill. Johnson able to pick up the kill with the 200 years of game design ult. But yeah, overall, very nicely played team fight from TSM. They got that multi-angle flank they were looking for, and also crucially, they were able to burn flash on Froggen, which is going to be huge going into future fights. Now, this is a fight where Dignitas doesn't really get flanked, but there is a huge mistake coming in from Huni. Just really watch Huni here. So TSM is going to be able to engage on Huni right here. And Huni's using stopwatch while his ultimate is up. He's a level 16 Kennen, and he's not using his ult before the stopwatch. So as a Kennen, you're very, very dependent on your flash and your Zhonya's to be able to really be an effective team fighter. And he doesn't have flash here, and he doesn't have Zhonya's if he uses it this early without using ult. So basically he's caught with his pants down, and TSM is going to be able to force him to use his cooldown, and Dignitas cannot win this fight when the Kennen is caught out in this way. Just watch the rest of the fight happening and think about what happens if Huni has ultimate here and he uses it before using Zhonya's. Yeah, I mean, if he's using ult here, Bio and Dardoch just cannot be in that distance. And after it's going to get picked up. Grig also getting picked up. While Froggen was able to land a really nice Q and ultimate on Kabe, so they do get the return kill. TSM's going to be able to win this fight and also take Dragon. This is going to be the final fight that I'm going to show you guys. You can see TSM has a flank ward for Broken Blade, and he's going to be able to get a really nice flank, able to stun both Froggen and Johnson. Froggen forced to use Cleanse right away, same thing for Johnson. Broken Blade still in the flank. Dardoch able to set ult the Kennen right out of the fight. And now with the Cleanse down, Broken Blade can re-enter the fight and it's going to be a cleanup. I mean, this is just a case of TSM playing their comp well and really understanding what they need to do, which is look for flanks. If they weren't looking for flanks and they were funneling in like they were doing earlier, this game does not end well for TSM. But props to them, they realized what their comp does versus Dignitas' comp, and they executed their win condition way better than Dignitas did. I do want to give props to Dignitas. They at least knew what their comp needed to do, and they stopped giving the flank angles as easily later on in the game, but there was a huge problem regarding side lane priority. The Irelia with Wit's End and Trinity was always going to beat out Kennen in a side lane, and it was really dangerous for Huni to be pushing by himself. So Dig couldn't really find a way to control the top lane and control the far side of the map, so TSM could land wars like that and were so free to teleport. On the other hand though, I am very happy that TSM is finding a way they can win with, but they have always been this traditionally really good teamfight team. It is, what are you beyond that? Like Broken Blade is a strong split pusher, so is Bjergsen. Like you have players you can use to play 1-3-1, but you never have really developed into that in the past. So will they make that one extra step and not just be a teamfight team, but be a more well-rounded team, such as Cloud9? I mean, some teams never really develop into that 1-3-1 priority team. They just play teamfight for the entire duration their roster is together. I think Team Liquid is a really good example of that. You can win in North America that way, but you are very limited when you do go to Worlds. So it's a question that TSM has to answer. I mean, we're in week 3 of spring, they have until end of summer to answer it, but something to really think about if you are a TSM player or a TSM coach or even a TSM fan. What does this team look like towards the end of summer? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this recap. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And remember, I'm not crazy, I'm just Loco. Bye!